You know what nobody tells you about hitting $300,000 in savings? It doesn't feel like winning the lottery. It feels like you've been grinding away like a caffeinated squirrel on a Peloton for years, watching your account inch up painfully slowly. And then one random Tuesday, you check your balance and wait, is that real? Did I actually do this? And then the weirdest thing happens. Everything you thought you knew about money completely flips upside down. Hi, I'm Matt, and on this channel, I break down the unglamorous truth about building real wealth without the get-rich-quick nonsense. If you're tired of financial influencers with ring lights telling you to start a drop-shipping empire, you're in the right place. Make sure you're subscribed because what I'm about to show you about the $300,000 milestone will change how you think about every dollar you save from this point forward. Here's the thing about $300,000 that nobody mentions. This isn't just another number on your wealth building journey. This is the moment the entire game changes. At $100,000, you felt like you were finally getting somewhere. At $200,000, you started believing compound interest might actually work. But at $300,000, the machine you've been building is now running on rocket fuel, and the path to $500,000 and beyond suddenly looks shockingly achievable. But here's where it gets weird. Most people who hit $300,000 completely sabotage themselves within 18 months. They do everything right to get there, build the discipline, resist lifestyle inflation, stay consistent, and then they convince themselves they've made it and start making catastrophically stupid decisions. Luxury car purchases, month-long European vacations, upgrading to a house that costs $200,000 more than they need. 5 years later, they're wondering why they're still at $350,000 instead of passing $600,000. So today I'm breaking down exactly what happens when you cross $300,000 in savings. The mathematical reality that changes overnight, the psychological transformation that makes you feel like a different person, the passive income that becomes emotionally real, the opportunities that unlock, the traps that destroy people at this level, and most importantly, what you need to do next to keep this momentum going without falling into the lifestyle inflation death spiral. If you're at $150,000, $200,000, or $250,000 right now, this is your preview. And if you're below that, this is your motivation to keep grinding, because what I'm about to show you about the $300,000 milestone will change how you think about every dollar you save from this point forward. Stay until the end because this milestone changes everything. Let's start with the raw financial power of $300,000 because the math here is absolutely bonkers. At an 8% annual return, your $300,000 generates $24,000 in growth per year without you lifting a finger. That's $2,000 per month in passive wealth creation. $2,000 every single month just from your existing capital doing what capital does. For context, that's more than what most Americans save in an entire year through active income. The median household saves roughly $2,625 annually. Your money is now outperforming the average American's entire yearly savings effort every single month. But here's where it gets absolutely ridiculous. If you continue contributing $2,500 per month, your net worth grows by roughly $54,000 annually. That's $30,000 from contributions and $24,000 from investment returns. At that pace, you'll cross $500,000 in about 4 years. Not 15 years, not even 10. 4 years. The exponential curve that felt like a myth when you had $50,000 is now fully visible, undeniable, and working for you every single day. Every month, your net worth climbs by thousands. And here's the kicker, an increasing percentage of those gains come from your investments, not your paycheck. This is the moment you cross from earning wealth to having wealth work for you. Your capital is now as valuable as your labor, maybe more valuable. If you're making $80,000 a year at your job and your investments are generating $24,000 annually, your money is doing 30% of the work your job does. And unlike you, your money compounds 24/7 without complaining. Now, let's talk about the psychological transformation, because this is where things get deeply strange. When you had $100,000, you felt capable but still vulnerable. At $200,000, you felt secure but not powerful. At $300,000, everything changes. You've crossed into territory most people never reach. According to the Federal Reserve data, only about 10 to 15% of U.S. households have a net worth over $300,000, excluding their primary residence. You're in the 10 to 15%. You're not average. You're not even above average. You're in the elite tier of wealth building, and whether you want to admit it or not, you know it. That knowledge changes how you walk into rooms, how you negotiate at work, how you make decisions, and how you carry yourself in the world. You're not desperate anymore. You're not hoping things work out. You're strategically planning your next move from a position of strength. Here's a question I want you to think about seriously. What would you do with an extra $2,000 a month in passive income right now? Not hypothetically, actually think about it. Would it cover your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, utilities, insurance, and gas? For a lot of people, $2,000 a month is the difference between financial anxiety and financial peace. At $300,000, that's what your money is generating. And this is where passive income becomes emotionally real for the first time in your wealth building journey. Up until now, passive income was this abstract concept. You believed in it intellectually, but you couldn't feel it. At $300,000, you feel it. You watch your account balance climb every month, not because you contributed more, but because your investments did their job. If you're earning 8% annually, that's $24,000 a year, or $2,000 a month. If you're slightly more aggressive with 10%, it's $30,000 a year, or $2,500 per month. That's not retirement level income yet, but it's substantial enough to change your life materially. The psychological impact is game-changing because you start thinking differently. You stop thinking, how do I earn more from my job, and start thinking, how much passive income do I need to cover all my expenses? This mindset shift accelerates wealth building exponentially because you start optimizing for income-producing assets instead of just accumulation. You're not just saving money, you're building a machine that pays you. But here's what's even more powerful than the passive income itself. It's the optionality. Capital is freedom. And at $300,000, you have enough capital to buy time, flexibility, and choice. Most people stay trapped in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and cities they can't stand because they lack capital. They're financially handcuffed because moving, pivoting, or taking risks would put their survival at risk. You're not trapped anymore. If you lose your job tomorrow, you're not panicking. You have 18 to 24 months of expenses covered, and you're calm enough to find the right opportunity instead of grabbing the first desperate offer. If you see an investment opportunity, you can deploy capital immediately without scrambling or going into debt. Do you know what percentage of Americans actually reach $300,000 in net worth outside of their home? Less than 15%. And most of those people are over 55 years old. If you're under 40 and you've hit this milestone, you're statistically in the top 5% of your age group. That's not me hyping you up. That's data. And here's what that optionality means in practice. You can negotiate aggressively at work because you're not living paycheck to paycheck. If they lowball you on a raise, you can walk. You can move cities, switch careers, or pursue passion projects because financial survival isn't your primary concern anymore. This is the shift from desperation to strategy. At $300,000, you're operating from opportunity, and that changes everything. The relationship with risk transforms too. When you had $50,000, losing $5,000 felt catastrophic. At $300,000, losing $5,000 is a 1.7% setback. Painful, sure. Devastating? Not even close. This allows you to take calculated risks that broke people simply can't afford. You can invest in higher growth opportunities, start businesses, make bets on yourself that have asymmetric upside. This is why people with capital compound wealth faster. It's not just the returns on existing capital, it's the ability to take smart risks that create outsized gains. At $300,000, you have enough skin in the game to access serious opportunities, but not so much that failure ruins you. This is the sweet spot for aggressive but intelligent wealth building. Now, let's talk about momentum because this is where things get absolutely insane. The journey from $0 to $100,000 probably took you 6 to 10 years. Brutal, exhausting, felt like pushing a boulder uphill in the rain. The journey from $100,000 to $200,000 took maybe 3 to 5 years. Still hard, but faster. But here's the wild part. The journey from $300,000 to $500,000, if you don't sabotage yourself, takes roughly 3.5 to 4.5 years. And from $500,000 to $1 million, about 5 to 7 years. You're looking at going from $300,000 to millionaire status in under a decade if you maintain discipline. Let me break down the math. If you're contributing $2,500 per month and earning 8% on your $300,000, you'll hit $500,000 in roughly 4.3 years. If you increase contributions to $3,000 per month or earn 10% returns, you can do it in 3.5 years. Compare that to the 8 to 10 years it took to go from $0 to $100,000. The exponential curve is fully engaged now. Your capital is compounding aggressively, your income is likely significantly higher than when you started, your systems are optimized. You've automated contributions, eliminated stupid expenses, and locked in your wealth-building habits. The only real threats at this stage are lifestyle inflation and complacency. And here's the brutal truth. 50% of people who hit $300,000 get destroyed by one or both of those within 3 years. They think they've made it. They start treating themselves. They ease up on the discipline, and suddenly 5 years later, they're wondering why they're stuck at $400,000 instead of crossing $700,000. Pause right here for a second. If you're watching this and you're anywhere close to this milestone, I need you to internalize this. The hard part is over. You've built the machine. You've proven it works. The next phase is about staying focused and not getting in your own way. The people who become millionaires in their 40s are the ones who hit $300,000 in their 30s and didn't let lifestyle inflation consume their momentum. Would you take that bet? Keep your current lifestyle mostly the same for another 4 to 5 years and guarantee yourself $500,000 to $600,000 in net worth? Or would you upgrade your car, move to a bigger apartment, and add $1,500 a month in recurring expenses that slow your wealth building to a crawl? Most people choose the latter without even realizing they're making a choice. Don't be most people. Here's what nobody tells you about the $300,000 to $500,000 stretch. It's not about intensity anymore. The early grind required maximum sacrifice. You were saying no to everything, living like a broke college student, grinding relentlessly. At $300,000, you don't need that same level of intensity to keep winning. The sweet spot is maintaining about 70 to 80% of your early discipline while allowing small, intentional quality of life upgrades. Maybe you travel internationally once a year instead of never. Maybe you upgrade your 12-year-old car to a reliable 5-year-old used vehicle. Small wins that keep you sane without destroying your savings rate. The key word there is intentional. Every upgrade should be deliberate, budgeted, and ideally one-time or low recurring. The people who fail at this stage let lifestyle creep consume every raise and investment gain. The people who succeed lock in a savings rate, 25–30%, and protect it fiercely, even as income and net worth grow. All right, let's talk about the absolute dumbest things people do when they hit $300,000. Because if you're gonna screw this up, you might as well know exactly how you'll do it so you can avoid it. First, don't dramatically inflate your lifestyle. I know you feel wealthy now. You want to live like it. A modest upgrade is fine. Going from a studio to a 1-bedroom, great. Treating yourself to nicer groceries, go for it. But if you go from saving 30% of your income to saving 10% because you're finally living, you just added 5 to 7 years to your journey to $500,000 and beyond. Here's the reality. Every dollar you spend now is a dollar that won't compound into $5 or $10 later. That $60,000 luxury car you're eyeing, in 10 years at 8%, that's $129,000. You're trading $129,000 in future wealth for a depreciating asset. Still want it? Fine, but at least know what you're actually trading away. Second, don't stop investing aggressively. Some people hit $300,000 and shift entirely to cash or bonds out of fear. Congratulations, you just guaranteed yourself mediocre returns for the next decade. If you're under 50, you have time to handle volatility. Conservative investing at this stage costs you hundreds of thousands in growth, maybe millions. Third, don't tell everyone. This is huge. The moment people know you have money, you become a target. Friends start asking for loans. Family hits you up for expenses. Coworkers get weird. Keep your financial success private. The only people who need to know your net worth are your spouse, your financial advisor, and maybe your accountant. That's it. Fourth, don't think you've made it and coast. $300,000 is incredible, but it's not financial independence for most people unless you're planning to move to rural Thailand. For everyone else, this is a checkpoint, not the finish line. The people who coast at $300,000 end up stuck there for a decade. The people who keep pushing hit $1 million before they turn 45. Fifth, don't make big emotional purchases. New cars, luxury vacations, designer goods. Every single one of those purchases is a wealth-building delay. I'm not saying never enjoy your money. I'm saying be strategic. If you're spending $10,000 on a vacation, make sure you're still maxing retirement accounts and contributing aggressively to your brokerage. Don't let emotion override math. Sixth, don't fall into the "I deserve this" trap. Yeah, you worked hard. Yeah, you sacrificed. But the moment you start justifying purchases with "I deserve it," you've lost. Wealthy people don't think in terms of deserving. They think in terms of ROI. Does this purchase move me closer to my goals or further away? That's the only question that matters. And finally, don't ignore taxes. At $300,000, tax optimization becomes critically important. If you're not maxing out your 401k, IRA, and HSA, you're leaving thousands on the table every year. Those tax-advantaged accounts aren't just about retirement. They're about wealth acceleration. Every dollar you shield from taxes compounds faster. Pay attention. Now let's flip the script. Here's exactly what you should do at $300,000 to keep this momentum going and set yourself up to cross $500,000 and $1 million without unnecessary delays. First, rebalance and optimize your portfolio. Make sure your asset allocation actually matches your risk tolerance and timeline. If you're sitting on 40% cash because you're scared of volatility, you're screwing yourself. Move that money into growth assets. If you're 100% in aggressive small cap stocks and losing sleep every market dip, dial it back. The goal is a portfolio you can hold through volatility without panicking. Second, max out every tax-advantaged account available to you. 401k, IRA, HSA, 529 if you have kids. These aren't optional. These are mandatory if you want to build wealth efficiently. The tax savings alone can accelerate your timeline by years. That's money staying invested in compounding instead of going to the IRS. Third, consider diversifying into real estate if you haven't already. At $300,000, you have enough capital for down payments on investment properties that generate cash flow and appreciate. If you've been thinking about real estate, this is the stage where it becomes viable. Fourth, and this is critical, increase your income aggressively. At this stage, a $20,000 raise or $30,000 side business compounds your wealth building dramatically. You're not desperate anymore, which means you can negotiate harder at work, take strategic career risks, start businesses without betting your survival. Use your financial security as leverage to earn more. Fifth, set a clear, specific, measurable target for $500,000 and reverse engineer the timeline. Don't just say, I want to hit $500,000 eventually. Say, I'm hitting $500,000 by December 2029, which means I need $2,800 per month contributions and 8% returns. Write it down. Track it monthly. What gets measured gets managed. Sixth, automate absolutely everything. Contributions, rebalancing, dividend reinvestment. Remove decision fatigue and emotion from the equation. The best investors set up their systems and forget about them for years. If you're checking your portfolio daily trying to time the market, you're gonna screw this up. Set it and forget it. Seventh, educate yourself continuously. Read books on tax optimization, portfolio construction, real estate investing, business building. Knowledge compounds just like capital. The more you know, the better decisions you make and the faster you build wealth. Eighth, protect your savings rate like it's sacred. If you're saving 30% of your income right now, lock that in. As your income grows, your savings should grow proportionally. If you get a $10,000 raise, $3,000 goes straight to investments before you think about lifestyle upgrades. This is the difference between people who stay at $300,000 for a decade and people who hit $1 million in 7 years. Ninth, give back strategically without hurting your progress. Whether it's helping family, donating to causes, or mentoring others, you now have bandwidth to contribute. Set a giving budget, maybe 3 to 5% of annual income, and stay within it. You can't help anyone long-term if you're broke. Generosity reinforces an abundance mindset, which keeps you motivated and aligned with long-term wealth building. What's stopping you from hitting this number? Seriously, think about it. Is it income? Is it discipline? Is it knowledge? Is it fear? Whatever it is, you can fix it. You're closer than you think. At the core, hitting $300,000 in savings is about crossing from building wealth to having wealth. You're no longer hoping compound interest works. You're watching it happen in real time every month. You're no longer wondering if financial independence is possible. You're calculating exactly when you'll achieve it. You're no longer financially vulnerable. You're secure, confident, and operating from a position of power. This milestone proves that every sacrifice was worth it. And it shows you that the next milestones, 500,000, 750,000, 1 million, they're not just possible. They're inevitable if you stay disciplined. The machine is built. The exponential curve is fully engaged. Your capital is compounding aggressively. The only variable now is you. Will you protect what you've built and keep pushing? Or will you fall into the trap that catches most people, thinking you've made it and easing up? Here's what I know. The people who hit $300,000 in their 30s and maintain discipline become millionaires in their 40s. The people who coast stay there for a decade or longer. Which one are you going to be? You've already done the hardest part. You've built the foundation. You've proven you can save, invest, and stay consistent through volatility. The next phase is easier if you don't sabotage yourself. Keep your lifestyle in check. Stay aggressive with contributions, and in 5 to 7 years, you'll be staring at a portfolio worth $600,000, $700,000, maybe more, wondering how it happens so fast.
This is where financial freedom stops being a dream and starts being a plan. This is where you stop working for money and money starts working for you. You're not just building a bank account, you're building a legacy, optionality, freedom, and peace of mind. And that's worth protecting. Are you ready to cross this line? Let me know in the comments where you are on the journey to $300,000. Stay disciplined, and let's finish what you started.